Hello, welcome to week 3 of Let's Get Healthy Together. This week was a really great week. I accomplished a lot of the things that I wanted to. I was able to hit a number of my goals, and I even lost a little bit of weight. My number one goal from last week was really to find a way to reduce some stress. I had been feeling really sick and uncomfortable. I had just started my period at the beginning of this week and really felt like the food that I was eating, as healthy as it was maybe not helping me to feel my best. So this week I implemented a slightly different diet, still very veggie and whole food focused, but trying to maybe optimize toward a little bit something that was going to make my stomach feel better. I reduced the number of days I was eating white rice. I think white rice was part of my problem in week 2. And week 3, I just felt a lot better overall. Week 2 ended with me feeling pretty stressed out and spread thin. And so I really prioritized in week 3 to find little self-care moments and ways to reprioritize myself. That's the whole goal of this entire process and this journey, is to really find ways to put myself first, establish and respect my own boundaries, and improve my life through little small changes on a daily basis. So this week I did a facial, I started a new skincare routine, I did a lot of reading and taking baths, and I also was able to get a little bit more meditation in. So while I did not hit 5 days of meditation, I did focus more on meditating in the morning, reading old journal entries, doing a little bit more reflective work, and listening to a lot of mindfulness podcasts. I ate homemade meals 6 of the 7 nights of the week. The only time I didn't eat a homemade meal was on Friday night when I had Chipotle. That also meant that I was able to stay within my $75 a week eating out goal, as I only spent $13 on my meal. And the final big goal that I had for last week was to lift a little bit heavier. And I knew that at the time that was potentially a conundrum with the reducing stress on my body, but I was actually able to find a way to incorporate more mindfulness and more self-care while also lifting heavier in the gym. So on Tuesday, if you recall, in week 2, I took it kind of easy on my Tuesday leg day. This week in week 3, I did the full lunges, squats, the workout, the whole shebang. And I'm really proud. I felt very good after that workout. I was still able to walk the next day, so that was great. I think honestly, maybe week 1 was just a shock to my body, and now my body's a little bit more used to it. And I hit all 7 of my workouts and really am proud of the work that I put into each and every one of them. This week also brought me to a point where I officially have not had any alcohol in over a week. So I stopped drinking Thursday of the week prior in week 2. I started reading Quit Like a Woman, and it just really opened my eyes to my relationship with alcohol and how it really was centered in a lot of ways in my life, in my social gatherings and in my version of self-care. And so I'm really excited about this journey of kind of learning about what I can do and drink and socialize without alcohol. As a reminder, one of my goals is to lose weight throughout this process, and I did lose almost 3% of my body weight this week. My overall goal is to lose 23%, so it's just a drop in the bucket right now. So while 3% is pretty small, it is something that I'm proud of, because it just goes to show that I am successfully prioritizing my mental, physical, and emotional well-being, and the weight is going to respond to that. Even without calorie counting, restricting, I ate tons of great food this week. I ate a lot of food this week, and I really don't find myself missing calorie counting or intermittent fasting or following strict rules or regulations. I will say this week I ate a lot of the same thing over and over again, but I don't typically have a problem with eating the same meal repeatedly. I don't typically get too tired of it, especially if it's something that I spent a lot of time cooking and working on. I'm typically pretty proud of that, and so I enjoy being able to eat leftovers. However, this week will be a slightly different diet than week 3, just because I do like to make sure that I'm having variety in my food and in nutrients that I'm having, even if during the actual week, things are a little bit more repetitive. All right, so without further ado, let's get into the week. Good morning, it's Sunday and I'm on my way to the grocery store. I'm just gonna walk to Mom's today. I'm trying to see if I could survive without my car. So I'm gonna be taking advantage a little bit more of things that are walking distance and Uberable or available for delivery. So today I'm heading to the Mom's Organic, which is right downstairs from where I live, to pick up some groceries for the week. I watched a YouTube video from Love Sweat Fitness, and I'm gonna use some of her techniques in meal prepping. I think last week was okay. It was definitely better than the week before in terms of meals that I had prepared, and I only ate out twice, which is great. But I did feel like meals were getting a little redundant, and I found myself turning to faster meals and things that were highly processed and high carbs because I didn't have things as prepared as I would have liked. So this week I'm gonna be making more of a strategic meal prep today, and hopefully that will carry on throughout the rest of the week to kind of get me in a better spot in terms of what I'm gonna be eating this week. I got a ton of great organic foods and healthy snacks from my mom's haul and got to work cleaning and prepping my food once I got home. I followed Love Sweat Fitness's meal idea pretty closely and did roasted chicken, zucchini, and sweet potato using her oil-saving hack of cooking in chicken broth to keep this even healthier. I also prepped some quinoa to go along for the week and plan to put all of this together over arugula or kale. While everything cooked, I made myself some ricotta toast with scrambled eggs. After a quick stepper workout, I prepped this week's dinner of penne, zoodles, and spaghetti sauce. I'm really excited for the week to see how having all of this in advance can help me. Good morning, it's Monday. And I've had a horrible headache. I still went to the gym, so I'm really glad that I was able to prioritize that. But having this headache is making it so hard for me to focus on anything. I've taken ibuprofen, I had a cup of coffee. I haven't been drinking in a couple of days, and I've been having close to a gallon of water every day. So I'm not entirely sure what this is about, but I'm gonna try to take it easy today. My big goal for this week was to prioritize reducing stress, and I'm hopeful that I can use this headache to kind of take it as an excuse to relax and to focus on myself and to maybe step away from some screens for a little while. Even though I didn't get a meditation in today, I was still so pleased with my stress levels. My headache didn't clear all day, and so having these meals 100% prepped was such a relief. This lunch took under 4 minutes for me to put together, and I topped it with lemon and pesto, and it was unbelievable. My midday snack held me over until dinner, which I topped with even more ricotta and ate every damn bite. Then for dessert, I topped some plain Greek yogurt with some mini chocolate chips and about 10 raspberries. This was so perfect and totally hit the spot. After the gym, I was able to carve out a 10-minute meditation from Melissa Wood Health, which really set the tone for the day. Other than the addition of some juice, my meals were identical to yesterday's, and I ended the night even more relaxed with an at-home facial. My goal next week is to even further prioritize my skincare routine, and I'm looking forward to implementing that. After the gym, I had a manifestation meditation with To Be Magnetic, which led me to reread some old journal entries. It felt so empowering. Looking back at where I've been compared to where I am now, I just felt so proud that I'm finally choosing myself and my needs. Nothing feels better than that. So this week I listened to a podcast and it's really resonated with me, and I know that my initial goal for the week was to find ways to reduce some stress and I couldn't have come across this podcast at a more perfect time for that. It was Oprah's Super Soul podcast, and it was an old recording of an actual Super Soul Sunday with Eckhart Tolle, and the episode was Acceptance of Troubled Times. And there's a couple of key takeaways that I got from this podcast that I've been trying to implement throughout my day over the course of this week. The first is that obstacles are essential to growth. And I think we all know this to a degree. You know, it's a very motivational thing to say, that you overcome something, that's what makes you stronger, that's what makes you more resilient. But I think it's also helpful to think about collectively, as a whole, as a community, as a nation, as a world. This is just how change happens, and there's an obstacle, usually a setback of sorts, and then you find what's within you to overcome that. I think it's just a really amazing opportunity to try to remember and kind of look outside of the moment sometimes and remind yourself that any obstacle or roadblock is really just an opportunity for you to become a better version of yourself. And how can we implement that sort of mindset in the moment and remember that adversity is what drives us forward? I just think there's a lot of power in that. The second thing that I took away from the podcast was something that I've been implementing and trying to remind myself to implement throughout this week, and hopefully in the coming weeks as well, with work and family and navigating being newly single and just all of these different things, is how we tell ourselves a story around our stress. So Eckhart Tolle says that stress is two things. One is that stress is the gap between what is and what your mind thinks should be. So it's this disconnect between this is what's happening and this is what I thought was supposed to be happening, and I'm feeling stress within that space. I think that's really interesting to think about, because when I think about, for instance, like a work example, that's definitely the case. Stress is, you know, I think that this should be going more smoothly and it's not. I think that this should have already been done and it's not. I think that I want to be perceived a certain way and I'm not. And I think there's a lot of power to recognizing that that's the stress, that you can almost remove yourself from that and recognize that that gap is what's causing the stress. And if you can close that gap, if you can allow your mind to be here now, to be present, to accept what is, then you're able to reduce that stress in your life, because you're not constantly comparing to the story that you're telling yourself. This comes back to the second part of stress too, where a lot of times it's a narrative that we're adding to the situation. Waiting in a long line, or having a deliverable come in late, or that conversation that's feeling a little bit tense between two people. Oftentimes, the stress and the frustration that comes out of that and the heightened, you know, anxiety is typically really just the narrative that you're adding. That, oh my God, this is so inconvenient. I can't believe I'm having to wait in this line. I have other places I need to be. And if instead you could just let go of the narrative and allow yourself to be present and just, how would I experience this moment without the addition of this story, of this stressful story? How could I just be in this moment and let go of that? And I think that obviously that's easier said than done. In the moment, it can be really hard and you can get really swept up in the narrative and in the stress and in the situation. But I do think it's important to have these sorts of tools to kind of have in your back pocket in those moments that you can take a step back for a second and say, what am I adding to this situation that doesn't need to be there? What's the story I'm telling myself that I don't need to have? What's the obstacle that I'm having the opportunity to overcome? And to be able to approach life and relationships and work this way, I think it just empowers you so much more, so it feels less like things are happening to you and more like things are happening for you.
Before bed, I read more Quit Like a Woman. Since starting, I haven't had a sip of alcohol and I feel great. After an awesome upper body workout, I logged into work. Despite missing a meditation today, I was still able to carve out about 5 minutes for another I am a person who journal entry. This really kept the day on a high note. I treated myself to some musical self-care on my brand new record player this afternoon. So I just got out of the bath and completed a new skincare routine. I'm feeling really excited about having a new routine. I washed my face, I used a toner, I used retinol, I used like an under eye peptide cream, and then I finished everything with an oil, hoping to get some long-term results. And it just feels nice to kind of dedicate an extra 5 minutes to myself and to my skin. So I'm excited to see where this goes. I woke up feeling really good about my body and with little to no bloat, so I filmed a quick little body check. Then I headed downstairs and killed my lower body and high intensity impact training workout and got home to listen to more Marvin Gaye while trying out my new morning skincare routine. Lunch was another ricotta toast, and for dinner I treated myself to my usual at Chipotle. Because cooking and baking is so therapeutic to me, I started making homemade croissants in the evening so I could enjoy them over the weekend. Hello, it is Saturday and it is a very snowy Saturday. I had the door and the windows open yesterday because it was like 65 and sunny. We were enjoying the warm weather, and then today it just decided to become an absolute winter storm. So one of those days that you remember March is still kind of a part of winter. I went downstairs to the gym and did 30 minutes of cardio. I just did like a straight walk. I didn't do the 12-3-30 or anything like that today, but came back kind of hungry, so decided instead of jumping right into more of like a strength portion of the workout, which is typically the ab and glute routine that I do, I decided I'm going to make myself a little bit of lunch and relax for a little while. And then I think I'm gonna skip the normal circuit and do a Melissa Wood Health yoga routine. Since I had a heavier lunch of macaroni and cheese, I kept dinner light with just cheese and crackers. Okay, so as I said, I hit my goal of meditating 2 out of the 5 times. So in week 4, meditating every day of the week, Monday through Friday, is going to be my goal.
And in order to really make sure that I achieve that, I'm going to set my alarm earlier. I'm going to stop having my phone by my bedside because I did find that a lot this week. My alarm went off. I woke up and looked at my phone. I laid in bed for 20 minutes before I went to the gym, and I could have spent that time meditating. So I'm gonna really prioritize less time on my phone, more time actively doing the things in the self-care that matter to me, and that's gonna be in meditating. I also read a lot this last week, and I want to continue that in this coming week, in week 4. It is my birthday week, so as much as my goal is to eat in 6 of the 7 nights of the week, I might be a little bit more lenient on that. I also am going to prioritize hitting all 7 workouts again this week and making sure that I'm lifting really heavy, but also giving myself the stretching and relaxation and rest that my body needs. And new things I'm gonna try out this week. So as you saw earlier in the week, I did start a new skincare routine. So I'm gonna really prioritize making sure that that skincare routine is met morning and night, Monday through Friday. Hopefully on the weekends as well, but I think it's best when you establish a new routine to start smaller and expand from there. So I'm really excited. I really liked the skincare routine. It was such a great moment to just be with myself and with my skin and doing something that will have long-term benefits. So I'm looking forward to implementing that this week as well. One other change that I want to see in week 4 is to implement more juice. I really like having juice in the mornings. It's one of my favorite things to do. I don't know what the health benefits are or if they're real, but it doesn't really matter to me because I'm doing it because I like it, and it's a delicious way to start the morning. Worst case scenario, I'm drinking something yummy. I think that that's okay. And that's week 3. So come back next Monday for week 4, where we will be going over all of the goals that I met and missed, changes that I'll be making to better establish those goals, and how I'm feeling with all of the changes that I've been making into my daily routine. I really hope that you enjoyed this episode. Please leave any questions or concerns, ideas, thoughts, anything in the comments below. I would really love to be communicating with you all and hear about what you are doing in your life and the routines that you're establishing. Thanks so much, and see you next week. I will officially be 28 then. See ya.